morning, everybody. Back into February, so here we kind of go. Really, all year, I guess you set yourself up to be playing meaningful games. Late February, obviously, early March. I think we're in that situation. Great opportunity and opportunities in front of us, but felt good about, obviously, the win the other day against the quality Kansas State opponent, and just a lot of respect for them and a talented group. So I thought I don't know if that was our best game, but it was probably pretty close to. I thought we were pretty complete, especially after the first quarter. But we weren't bad in the first quarter. It was just a little more back and forth. Got the big lead. We actually didn't even score for the last, I think it was 5 minutes of that game. So that's not obviously a perfect way to end it. But we had a lead, and really we're trying to use clock more than anything else. Points didn't matter as much as clock at that time. So need to clean that up just a little bit. But yeah, we'll move our attention now to TCU, and we'll get back at it today. We did take a couple days off, which you don't get to do this time of year either, and kind of hopefully hadn't seen them, so hopefully we're in good spirits today and ready to go get another top 10 team or a top 10 team in TCU on the road that we need to figure out, again, how to kind of see what we can do there. So I'm excited for the opportunity in front, and then we'll have 3 games in 6 or 7 days, however you want to look at it, to finish before we head to the conference tournament. So a lot to play for, and we're in a good spot.
How unusual, but how important is it to maybe just get a little bit back in your legs before the final charge?
Yeah, probably pretty important. I always kind of judge it based on how many kids I see in and around the facility on those days off. Training room, I did not see a ton of them, and that's okay. They probably Coach Kellogg probably needed it a little bit as well, but they got treatments and massages, and we're in the training room and healing up in some few areas. So, some of them may need a mental break as well. So mental, physical, just get away from it, reset, and then hopefully we're back in great spirits today.
TCU, kind of like you, terrific at home. I don't think they've lost at home this year. Is that right?
Don't believe so. Don't think so.
What do you see from them? What makes them so good as you start digging into them?
Yeah, a lot. They're just complete. Obviously, a fantastic post player in Prince. They're elite guard play. They shoot it. They share it. High assists, high percentages all over. Very efficient offensive basketball team. Really good defensive. I think they're like the maybe third best defensive team in our league as well. So they're probably not getting as much credit on that end, maybe, from what you hear so much about Van Lith and Connor and Prince and some of those guys. But and you think of them as offensive players. But I think Prince leads our league in block shots, and they average 6 as a team. And Eminopu's like their 4 player, who's just a really, really good fit for what they do and makes threes and defends and has a lot of toughness. So they're veteran, they're old, they've played in a bunch of big-time games, maybe not all at TCU together, but, at their respective schools previously. So, yeah, they have some of the best wins in our league early with the Notre Dame win and NC State win. So high-powered offensively and pretty dang good, if not elite on the defensive end.
It wasn't that long ago, really, when NBA teams created I don't know what you call it, a talking point with the way they constructed the super teams and that kind of thing. Is TCU kind of almost a college version of that with their big 3?
Oh, I mean, yeah, they're really talented. Now, how it was formed, I don't know. They have some name recognition, so that may be why you're asking that more than anything else in women's basketball, because a lot of people across the country know of Sedona Prince and Haley Van Lith, and our league found out pretty quickly what Madison Connor was about, a year ago, and she had a great year and is having another really, really good year. So, I think it starts probably with those 3 because of the years either they're having or what they've done in their careers. But, yeah, so I don't know if we're in this super team stuff or you've got to have the 3-headed monsters or whatever. I don't know if that's where we're at yet. But certainly there's some firepower at TCU.
The 3-point shooting, is that the major? I mean, obviously Connor is the bulk of that, but, they've got a couple other.
No, yeah, they all shoot. No, they shoot it at about every. Sedona doesn't shoot a ton of them. She has the ability, I guess, to step out and shoot it, but that's not necessarily what she does. But, yeah, the rest of them can shoot it, but they, Van Lith can shoot it. Connor does, and Minopu does. They bring some kids off the bench that do. So, yeah, they're not like Kansas State. They're a little different, but somewhat kind of, they've got size on the interior, although the size plays differently. They've got guard plays a little different, but they're all talented and they can shoot it. And they have some length in certain positions. So, yeah, quality.
They get into the half court, it becomes a question of matchups then, right? Who do you help off? I mean, can you help off anyone? I guess is the question.
Well, I mean, yeah, we've gone through this before, but yeah, these teams that are this elite, yeah, they give you fewer opportunities, and mistakes that you do make, they're good enough to make you pay at all of the positions. So, yeah, we're still working through that. We got a few days to kind of figure out exactly what that game plan looks like, and what do you do with Prince and these guards, and they do set a lot of ball screens, so you've got to really be dialed into your ball screen defense and your rotations. So we'll work through that over the next few days and come up with the game plan.
For you then, can you turn them over like you do other people? How hard is that, and what other keys are there for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the keys for us are all, I mean, we need to battle on the boards. This is a really good rebounding team with some size. Obviously, Sedona's a fantastic player with a ton of size and gets a lot of her own misses. And, we may not have the length if she misses the first to help, go get the second. So rebounding becomes important. I mean, yeah, turnovers for us, if you can win that battle, that always is a huge advantage. We need to be able to do that on the road. That's, where we haven't had quite the same advantage, but we always have an advantage typically, but haven't had it as much there. Like they shoot the three, so can we hang tough behind the 3-point line? That was one of our goals with Kansas State, and then we actually ended up making more than they did, but we need to be able to hang tough. We don't make as many as they do or shoot it at the percentage in which they do. So you rely on your defense a little bit to kind of keep you in it until your offense, finds some rhythm. But we need to share it and spread it and continue to get a lot of people involved.
So something that Gino Rem has said, I think it may have been after he beat South Carolina, he thought this is the most parity in the game. Do you buy that?
Not sure. I don't know if I know at that level either. And I didn't watch that game specifically. I think there is some parity. I think there's some shuffling at the top that's gone on this year that maybe those teams didn't quite separate from the pack, which over time, I thought earlier in women's basketball, like there maybe wasn't as much parity, and you had your top 5-6 teams, and one of them was going to win the national championship, and that was about it. I don't know yet. I think I'll reserve judgment until I see it later. We get in the tournament setting, and you get a few of those, more of those matchups.
Could it be the portal? I mean, in the past, kids would go to UConn and sit on the bench to win a national championship. They were good enough to play other places. Is that filtering out maybe a little bit? I mean, you look at TCU, how quickly they got good. You guys, I mean, could that be part of it?
Well, it can be. I think it's allowed everybody to stay older and more mature, and so you're not, there's some elite freshmen that are obviously getting some crazy opportunities and making the most of those, but a lot of these teams are just very veteran, old. That's what the portal has allowed us to do is, you're not relying on younger kids. So, and I think more kids today want to play sooner rather than later, where 10 or 15 years ago it was okay to redshirt. Now, if you like, redshirt's a nasty, dirty word. If you say that these days, there's very few that want to live with that, even though a lot should, and it's still okay, and it would be fantastic to do that. But I think, we need kind of instant gratification and production and opportunity, and if that's not provided, then we jump ship. But I just think we're staying a little bit older, so that may have something to do with it. It's easier to turn it around a little bit quicker for other teams, that you might have taken a step back, or maybe it takes 2 more years to restock it and get back up there. Now you can just turn it around a little quicker.
Well, last thing on this. I mean, you just talk to coaches and they look at their rosters. This is years ago, and you're like, I take that player, I take that player, I take that player, take that player. They're not even playing. Do you see some of that filtering out a little bit more? Good players maybe spread around the country a little bit more with teams?
Yeah, I mean, probably. But I think there's always been good players, some that sit more. The roster seem to be a little bit smaller now. That's something that I've noticed. We're getting like injuries where teams are playing with, fewer players because their roster didn't start at the same number. But some of that may be just this whole, kids don't like to sit and wait, and then you got to manage that as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure if you may be onto something, maybe not. I don't know. We'll keep watching it.
This seems like a more appealing game when you've got more teams that are capable of doing something in postseason, whereas before it was the same 3 or 4 or 5 teams that you knew were going to be there at the end.
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody likes parity until you get to the Final Four, though, and the main group isn't in the Final Four, and now all of a sudden everybody's mad because the Blue Bloods aren't in it. But it was cool for the first couple rounds of the NCAA tournament, and then it's maybe not so cool when you get, to the Final Four and the TV numbers and the viewership and attendance isn't. So it just kind of depends.
So along that line, your recruiting philosophy, you've addressed this a little bit before. Some are just stocking purely through the portal. You seem to do both, freshman and portal. So you explain your philosophy in terms of what you want in that balance when you recruit?
Well, I want kids that fit our program probably above all else. I think you have to be a little careful if you stay too young now. That's just, I don't know that that's a great recipe. If we can find the right freshmen, then we want to find the right freshmen that we think fit what we do. Hopefully those kids do have an opportunity to play. We don't promise them minutes or playing time, but we can give them, promise them an opportunity. And then I think it depends on what you lose. Obviously, we lose 6 seniors, so we knew that coming in. We did not want to replace those 6 seniors with 6 freshmen. That probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So it was, we recruited pretty hard. We actually ended up signing 1 freshman, which was, I would have liked to probably have at least had 1 more, maybe 2, but 1 more for sure. And we didn't get that one. So we'll have to get into the portal here a little bit, and we'll plug the holes that are left that we don't have in-house. And so that's really how it's always been for me, is if you have players in-house that can take over for the graduates, then you plug those in, and then you go find a new hole. I think in the perfect world, we wouldn't have to go into the portal because we would have enough players in our program that would stay, and they'd stay the whole time. And by the time a sophomore becomes a junior and that senior graduated, now you get 2 years with that kid who's already been in your program and understands, and you feel great about it. And that's what I've done for most of my career. But now over the last 4 or 5, you have to adapt, and it's not necessarily that way. So we'll go find some portal kids that want to be a part of the Mountaineer women's basketball program.
Coach, ball movement you've mentioned before has been a point of emphasis for you. What did you think of that against Kansas State? How important is it against TCU, a team that's really good defensively?
I thought it was better. I thought it's been better the last couple games, so we've actually got to celebrate that one and cut up some clips and show them like what this can look like when we do share it and move it and give up the good ones to get the great ones, and so we've had to have some difficult conversations, and some kids have had to watch themselves maybe take what looks like, I hate to use the word selfish because we don't have selfish players, but maybe not the best shot we could get as a team. But I think we're showing some change, and that's encouraging. And yes, it will take that because, whether we need more people scoring, but I've kind of turned it here lately into just being involved is kind of my newer term. Whether it's, if JJ goes for 30, that's okay. That may take one less double-digit score that we don't necessarily have to have, but ideally we would like to spread it where there's 3 or 4. But what if Kai gets 15 rebounds and Jordan Thomas gets to 11? Woodley's playing much better. Like now all of a sudden we're getting a lot of people involved, so now you have to worry about more people on the floor.
Which one's more important in the short term, winning Big 12 tournament or hosting NCAA first couple rounds?
Both.
You have to pick one.
You always want to win a championship, but man, how cool would that be to have at least 1 and hopefully 2 games in this building where we have just really, really found is something really special. So you're making me think and dream a little bit into both of those situations, because what the celebration would be like if you won a Big 12 title too would be, that's just, we've only had one of those, before, I believe, right, in women's basketball. And I don't know, have we hosted before?
No. Well, yes. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So,
one game way back before the
current setup.
Yeah,
So so both would be uncharted waters, so to speak, for us, and pretty cool. But yeah, I said after Iowa a year ago, like that needs to be one of our goals. I think we're in the position to do it. Now we got to do something. We got to go on a little run here, I think, to get into that top 4. I don't, just a 1 win here or there isn't going to do that either. I don't think for us right now, but we'll see. We're in position.
Players aware of that? You bring it up to them what you need to do, or is that sort of left unsaid? Hey, we know what we need to do.
No, we don't. I haven't specifically brought it up lately. We've talked about it previously. We talked about it early. I think they know the magnitude of each game, so to speak. Now, they may not study it and look at bracketology, although they probably do and follow it. But no, it's still the next game, regardless, win or lose. We haven't achieved either of those things that you just asked about, so there's going to be plenty to play for right after it, and it's a quick turnaround, so we've just kind of got to stay the course.
Transition defense, is that an area where you can take advantage of TCU?
Possibly. Obviously we'll have, at certain positions, the speed and quickness advantage that you want to take advantage of. If you can find space, that's one area you can find space. Transition is always space initially until it gets taken away. So, we don't play at a kamikaze pace. We do play at a little bit faster pace than they do, which might warrant a little bit of that.
Kaya Watson, is she the most impactful player that you've had that doesn't score a lot? And are there things that we don't see that she does that you go, whoa?
Probably yes to your first question. Yeah, I would imagine. I can't think of one that I've ever had that did as much as she does that doesn't necessarily require scoring to play hard and compete. And, a lot of kids want to defend when they score, and it's really hard to get kids to want to defend when they're not scoring or not getting touches. And at times she probably does get a little frustrated because I think we miss her from time to time offensively. But no, the kid, the impact she have is, it's phenomenal. She's one of maybe the best defender in this league, and she's worked herself into that. When I got here, we didn't say that even necessarily a year ago, but I think she's worked herself into that. She leads us in steals, I think, more than JJ by 9 at the moment. She leads our team in rebounding, so she leads the league in steals. She's 4th in rebounding. Like, she touches everything, guards literally has guarded every position at some point this year, and there aren't many that can say that.
7 offensive rebounds, I think, in that last game. She's not like 6'1" or 6'2". She just has a knack for the ball.
No, she does. Yeah, she has a knack for the ball. So her motor's fantastic. She's explosive. Her first few steps are pretty dynamic. But just the transformation of the body too. Like, that's just what's I've seen pictures before we got here to what this kid looks like now is just night and day different. And there's a lot of coaches that just love I just love Kaya Watson. I love Kaya Watson. I love Kaya Watson too. That's why I can't take her off the floor most nights. But yeah, she does do a lot, and she's been really, really good for us.
Angles and spacing, is that just instinctive, or does she have a knack for understanding how to do those things?
I think those are the same, right? Her instincts are great. She understands. She's good IQ, so when we put things in, she picks up on it quickly. She's a processor, so she she's a little bit of a thinker too. When you talk to her, she may pause for a second and process before she even answers. But she gets onto the court, and it just clicks for her. And again, my job was just saw a talent, and I wanted to put her in a position to take full advantage of it. And to her credit, she's done that.
Coach down the road, you think?
Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, that she wants to. I think that she would like to at some point.
What are some of your tougher opponents this year, like Texas, K-State? You've had pretty quick turnarounds and quick preps going into those games. Advantage of having 2 full days of rest and 3 days of prep going into this one?
Yeah, I hope so. If we use it right, it should be. I do think we needed the couple of days. I think so even more now that we've had them. I said this the other day. I can't remember if I said it today, but they were more excited when I told them they were getting the second day off, I think, than even the win against Kansas State, because we just haven't been able to do that much at all here lately. So, we need to take advantage of it. TCU played last night on the road, so I guess they traveled back, so we may have a little advantage. But, again, you're going to have 2 days to get ready for them. We'll probably put a lot of emphasis on ourselves today anyway and clean up some things about us and not worry too much about TCU yet.
TCU's construction, you look at their stats and you say, okay, well, they got 3 superstars, but I don't know if that's really the truth. Prince, she was highly recruited, I get that, but she was a part-time starter at Oregon before she transferred. Connor was a role player at Arizona. Van Lith was really the only high-impact player at her previous schools. So is there some kind of takeaway from that wow, it looks like they have 3 superstars? It's really not how
they have 3 superstars.
Okay,
and those Prince was probably a top 10 recruit in the country coming. So why it didn't work out for her at Texas or Oregon, I don't know. That's not my deal. Connor is a big time talent that didn't work out at Arizona. I don't know why, for whatever reason, but those kids they're big time. They're big time players. And there's other kids on their team, and they got an Oregon State transfer that I think starts most of the time. Emma Nopu was at Stanford. You got to be graduated in 3 years from Stanford. So there's talent all throughout that roster.
3 first-teamers, do you think? And then with the Big 12?
I have no idea how that will shake out, but certainly they have 3 that will be in conversation for that.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.